Hey guys, Lex the Alchemist, aka Lexi. So what's up? Please excuse the noise in the background. My phone right now is standing right by a window, and that's how the way I'm recording this video, mind you. Yeah, because we got the complex across the street where they have property management doing their thing. So yeah, in case you hear like a leaf blower, a lawnmower, that's why. My reason for wanting to make this video is kind of like a sequel, but certain things that I forgot to mention in the first video. So you guys can kind of like get to have more of, an idea of who I am, right? So, yeah, the first thing that I forgot to mention in the first video was about not only being raised by Haitian parents, but dealing with a mother who's an opiate/opiate addict. All right. My mother, she ended up becoming addicted to Vicodin and muscle relaxants when I was the tender age of 5 years old, and ended up through all of this like crazy roller coaster bullshit with her. What made it really difficult about growing up in that kind of family dynamic of cluster B types is you're mostly getting told what to do. You can't be your own person. You end up finding out that your parents got favorites. Specifically, my mother, she had a favorite. And getting to watch your family fall apart, which is the hardest thing that I've ever had to grow up watching myself go through. I'm not no saint or anything, with my behavioral issues and being in special ed and anything like that. What I ended up having to go through while getting into adult stage was just completely appalling. Now imagine while you're a junior in high school, you just started at your school year at a different high school, and then to find out that you're going to be moving to a different state within a couple of months. Yeah. Like, I literally can count with two of my hands before I left to move to Florida of how many times I've moved around Suffolk County. I mean, from living to Selden to Port Jefferson, then moving back to Selden, okay, then moving to a different area in Selden, and then moving to fucking Medford. Then after that, moving to fucking Farmingville. After Farmingville, moving to Coram. Then after Coram, Central Islip. After Central Islip, Brentwood. After Brentwood, Deer Park. And then we were completely done with New York, my mother and I at least. Yeah, so then when it was time for me to move to Florida, oh, thank goodness at least there was some type of stability over there. I only ended up moving to, one place, a residence that we had for, I would say, like 5 years and some months until we ended up officially wrapping that up and moving back up north. Yep. So, did a lot of fucking moving. Now, what really, really motivated me in wanting to make this second video, because I want to call out on my father's side of the family's bullshit. And I noticed how I've always been like the family emotional punching bag, in the immediate family. But as I got older, it's like the smear campaigning became a favorite thing of theirs. Okay, mother and father and siblings. And then, just my father's side of the family, I can tell, never really liked me. They seemed somewhat pleasant when they said hi. That was about it. But never bothered to really develop a relationship I remember my cousins always being very mean to me. They were very like verbally abusive. As far as for female cousins, I've hardly ever saw them. And, you know, for the ones that are in the generation before me, like I said, never really bothered to like form some kind of relationship with me. And that's just fine. Um, so, you know, like that's how at this moment I became more introverted and isolated. They are into some type of dark arts, or they are spiritually active, okay, where I'm very adamant based on the shit that I've been seeing since I was a child. All right, with the 7 day candles, you know, stuff that you would get at the Botanica, like drams of oils that are used for whichever purpose of manifestation that you would like to come into fruition. Um, you know, things like on crossing work, reversal, money drawing, you know, that kind of stuff. I would used to see mostly at my aunt's place, because I remember as a child my father would used to take me over to my aunt's house, or to her apartment actually, Suffolk County to Queens. So that's a long drive, right? It's a long drive. And where I would be staying with my aunt for like maybe the weekend or something, and would used to see what I was just talking about before. And certain things that my mother had admitted to me about what she saw when she was younger, when she had already had all three of us. You know, my grandfather, he passed away. Shall he rest in peace? And I think that it had something to do with my father and his family. Yeah, and I really can't wait to break down all of this crap, because once when I share this, I know you guys are going to be like, yeah, this isn't right. But mainly the reasons why I made an introduction to this video stating that I am Haitian and was raised by 2 Haitian parents. Well, technically I'm Haitian American, but both of my parents came from Haiti, because my mother has had such a huge disdain for them for a long time. I swear to you, okay, when my mom had walked into this relationship with my father, met his family, they were quite pretentious, bully-like, you know, where my mom just was completely turned off by them. So, like, I recall, like, in my childhood, hearing my mother talking shit about them. And at the time, I was just a child, you know, like, I'm confused as fuck as to wondering, like, why is my mom talking crap about my father's sister? Or, you know, why is she talking crap about my aunt? And then as I'm getting older is when I finally get to understand why, you know, my mother feels a certain way about those people. Yep. I mean, things turned ugly. And I can't wait to get into it really soon. But yeah, I just figured I have to make this video at least to get more of an introduction of a backstory to this. Because like, I'm not playing when I say there's a lot of shit to unravel. So, but what my father's side of the family has been doing to my mother, me, my brother and sister, has been very unforgivable, has been very fucking uncalled for. Up to the point now, I do not have a relationship with my father. I haven't had a relationship with him in almost a year. Let's just say that I dealt with a father who was emotionally unavailable and who had given a false persona, you know, just kind of presenting himself as somebody who he's really not, and then finally getting to realize like why my parents were always arguing a lot, you know, because my mother, she was the breadwinner in their marriage. And my father really didn't do anything to contribute. Like, sadly to say, my mom, she literally married a man who did nothing for her, like, did not give her shit. She's like yeah, my mom was a married single mother. All right. And, you know, that's also another thing what made things turned very fucking ugly. But let's just say, to add more, you know, pizzazz into this video, from what my mom had revealed to me, I was an infant when this all took place, but my aunt had a husband and my father never seemed to like him. So there was one time where that man had revealed to my mother what my aunt, or what my father's side of the family was doing to my mother, where he told my mother that he found like some type of a spell or a ritual that my aunt had done with my mother's name on it, which was like a knot spell, right? And as soon as that was expressed to my mother, where my father happened to be sneaky at the time, he was someplace but can hear what my aunt's former, well, they never got divorced. That's one thing I forgot to explain. Never got divorced, but they were separated for a long, long time. Still kept his last name too, which is fucking crazy. Okay. But yeah, as soon as that was addressed to my mother, my father actually recorded the whole conversation with the both of them. And then later on, while that man was alone, was when my father took that opportunity to have his family and himself gang up on that man about what he had revealed to my mother, to where he was kicked out. My aunt had it up to here with him and she told him to leave. So that really tells you a lot, okay? And the thing is that I've been really trying to gather the courage to, you know, reveal this type of shit. And it's been hard because I've gone through a burnout. Now, last year, I was homeless before I got this apartment. Okay? This was because of an incident that happened back in September of 2021, where I was dealing with a very problematic roommate. All right, I was living in a different residence where I happened to roommate with two other women, and this one roommate was completely psychotic. Yeah, she had instigated a physical altercation with me. And then at the time when I defended myself and called the police, where we were actually going to get arrested on the same, you know, on that day of. And the funny thing is, today makes it the 2-year anniversary this shit happened. Literally, like, this happened on August 28th of 2021. But but where, yeah, the cops are going to take us in that night, but then they tell us that we have up to a year to press charges on whomever. We can press charges on each other if we wanted to. I gotta make a separate story time about that, which I will. I was even thinking about like maybe making that story time on my TikTok and then putting that video up into this YouTube channel, so you guys can actually get a fucking idea of what I went through. Because yeah, you know, just to kind of make the long story short, was when I ended up getting a summons, then went to court and was issued a stay away order of protection, which means I ended up getting evicted out of the place where I literally had, that was a roof over my head. And I had to rush. I seriously had to rush to get my dog the fuck out of there. And that was the beginning of me dealing with poverty again. Because the first time I actually ever dealt with poverty was a long time ago. This is when I was in Florida. We'll definitely make a story time about that, because this involves an ex-boyfriend of mine who was a complete trashy piece of shit. And the funny thing was, while being in poverty back in 2021, I ended up staying with my aunt for the meantime. So yeah, my father took me to my court appearance. And then as soon as the judge says that I was issued a stay away order of protection and I could no longer be at the residence unless if I needed to take my belongings, okay, to pack my shit, I either had to bring the police, which is really not a good idea for anybody who goes through anything similar to what I went through. Yeah, don't ever fucking call the police. Get you sheriffs. All right, get you a sheriff, because at least they give you up to about like an hour or so, maybe 2 hours if you're lucky, to get the rest of your shit out. All right. Yeah, I ended up staying with my aunt, and that was for about 2 months and change. And then the worst just got even more worse was when, you know, she had forced me to get the vaccine, literally pressured me into getting the vaccine, where I was in a position where I had no choice but to get it, or else I would have been out on the street. And then, you know, while still staying with her, I was trying to get myself together to at least get a job, so that way I could start like saving some money. I can't wait for a story time for this shit, you know, because she really pissed me off that day. But this is, okay, all of this crap that is flowing, hence to me with this PTSD that I've had for a while. Also, another thing I forgot to mention from the first video, because I mentioned about my 3 diagnoses, or diagnosis. I'm also diagnosed with adjustment disorder because of all that shit that I went through from the beginning of last year, from moving to place to place to place. And this was because my therapist had a talk with her boss, and her boss had issued to diagnose me. Back to what I was talking about. But then what's really fucked up, because then after getting the vaccine and then having to deal with my aunt shit because of my father putting me there, then you know, my cousin, not gonna say his name because his mother had reached out to my sister the last time when I put a fucking TikTok about him and how he gave me COVID. Yeah, so there goes the cat out of the bag. Yeah, my cousin gave me COVID. Yeah, because he was smoking weed with a friend who was already tested positive. And, you know, not that I was smoking weed with him or anything, but I was near him. He said that he was starting to get a fever, his head was hurting, and I did whatever I could to help him out. And honestly, I think my cousin is such a piece of shit. He's younger than me. I literally call him the Satan spawn because of this aunt of mine who was a fucking criminal. Yeah, I really can't wait to reveal about how shitty my father's side of the family is. Honestly, I'm in the process of changing my last name because, yeah, they are some fucking shitty, rotten people. And then after getting tested positive for COVID, I got kicked out, where I was left to having to get quarantined at a hotel. Or actually, I would say about a day or 2 before my quarantine was done was when I got a phone call from my brother, because he said for me to call him via text message. So when I hit his ass up, then he tells me that my aunt doesn't want me back there. Yeah, where I was literally homeless around Christmas Eve of 2021. Ended up having to go to a homeless shelter on Christmas Eve. Yep. oh my god, just so much to reveal. And what's even more fucked up, and the reasons why, like, I completely have such a huge disdain for my father's side of the family, because around that time when I was staying with my aunt, I had my personal stuff, you know, my clothing, my toiletries, my shoes, all that stuff. And she wouldn't even allow me to get my stuff from her place. It took for my uncle and my father to give me back the rest of my belongings, little by little. Yeah. So this is the reasons why I wanted to make this video, because it's about fucking time that I got to reveal what kind of people these assholes are. And what's even more fucked up, because these are people now that look like they have such a luxury lifestyle, that they are living, you know, an upper class life. Because like I told you, my aunt living in the city in one of those apartments collecting fucking welfare while finding a way to put 2 of her daughters in a fucking private school. But now, because her daughters have went to college, got their degrees, ended up, you know, getting a really good career out of it, right? They got their mother a house. Gave their mother the life that she could ever imagine. And this is in no way to like talk shit about them in a way of showing any kind of envy or jealousy. Because before, I was good without having any relationships with them. Like any kind of relations. And all because of my father being very forceful and having lack of like respect for my boundaries. Oh, that's also another story time I can't wait to fucking tell you. Because of my father back in in 2013 when he burned our house down. Well, technically it was the landlord's house, yeah, because we were living in Ozone Park in Queens. And yeah, he burned the house down. Can't wait to reveal this shit. I fucking swear to God. Can't make this shit up. But just love the fact that I'm already making an introduction of how shitty my father's side of the family is. But hey, my mother, she ain't perfect either, nor her side of the family is. So, but yeah, after dealing with, you know, getting better from COVID and, you know, being from a homeless shelter to about, you know what, let me just stop it at here. Okay, so this is mainly the reasons why I ended up homeless though, because of a previous living situation. And then I just addressed that issue, stayed with my, you know, my father and his sister for some time being until she decided she wanted to kick me out, and ended up in a homeless shelter and some other places before I got this place. So yeah, everything will be revealed, promise. But definitely have to reveal the most is my father's family bullshit, in case if anything happens to me. Yeah, because I swear I'm not being paranoid. These people are fucking sinister, and they've ruined my life enough. Alright, so if you guys really like the whole story time, or the second introduction, I'll just call it. So if you guys really like the second introduction, you know, like the video up, and if you're starting to get invested, I would suggest you subscribe, because there is more stories to come. So until next time, guys, bye.